Welcome back to my channel. This is Toddie 1Skip with Issues with Toddie 1Skip, and this is Issues with Scientology and Sensibility. So welcome back. On Hubbard and writing up this whole proposal and outline of this religion of Scientology, and getting into the great details of this billion-year contract that people sign when they join Scientology and the Sea Org, so that every time when they die, they come back. And writing all of this stuff on paper, okay? So you're a fiction writer. You've written more stuff than anybody else, because that's the truth. L. Ron Hubbard is in the Guinness Book of World Records for writing more fiction than anybody else on this planet. And then one day, I don't know if you take a hit of acid, you have a dream, you just have an idea to make money and keep money. I don't know how it becomes of it, but you come up with this writings of this religious sect that's not even religious. It just has a belief system that doesn't really follow anybody. It more or less follows a creed. And you wrote the creed, so you know how flimsy it is, and that where it came from was the depths of your imagination. And now you've got thousands of people following. You have thousands of people following this made-up religion that's only a religion because you wanted it to be tax-free. Otherwise, it started, from my understanding, as kind of like a decent self-help, which was Dianetics, which gave you the tools to help yourself and to realize things about yourself. But then from there, this guy was like, well, that's not good enough for me that I've sold so many books. Let me now claim that it's a religion, and let me add more stuff to it, like volcanoes and Xenu, and things that only people could tell people about after they spent millions of dollars finding out about it, only to find out there's nothing wrong anyway. This guy has got to be laughing hysterically. The only problem is, this guy was cremated. So, him coming back is going to be in a billion pieces, right? I just find it so unbelievable. And listen, I believe in Jesus Christ, so I believe that Jesus was born of a virgin. So I'm not saying that I believe in anything that somebody who doesn't believe in it wouldn't say, well, that's pretty ludicrous. How does that happen? Like, that's not possible. You know, and that he died and came back. How do you justify that? How do you say that that's any less crazy than what L. Ron Hubbard believes, or than what the Mormons believe? Because they believe that they saw a vision in a hat that had plates in it. So, I don't want to trot on religion. I really don't. I find it really difficult how people could think that Scientology is a religion, except to keep the money from getting into the hands of the the IRS. Besides that, I think once upon a time ago, it probably was a pretty decent self-help group before the leader of the self-help group probably needed some self-help himself, right? And decided that he was going to concoct this plan and have so many details in this blueprint of what is a belief system that it shuns families, disconnects families, causes horrific things to happen to people just to save face, and in the meantime, it's disguising itself as a group that saves humanity and can't even save its own, dare I say the word, parishioners? Can't save its own people from itself. Scientology has always caught my interest because religion. I've studied religion, world religion in college, and I find it fascinating. And let me tell you something, Scientology wasn't anything that I studied. There was no real credence to it. There was no belief in it in a college course that studied in world religions. Scientology is a cult. It's a belief system that if you don't believe in it, you're shunned and disconnected from family. What do you call that? If you don't have the freedom to believe what you will, and you're punished for that, physically and emotionally, that's control. That's not any kind of God. That is of love. That's just common sense, right? So, I'm reading this book, A Billion Years by Mike Rinder, and he was with Leah Remini in Scientology and the Aftermath, that show. It's now on Netflix, running the shows that have already been aired, and it is fascinating how people could believe something. That's the mind, you know. I wanted to do an episode on the mind and just how it's on a dime, you know, like you can change your mind in a minute, and then everything that you believe in, everything that you're made up of, changes with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I was talking about my friend who has dementia. In her head, her husband's still alive and coming home to her. The reality is he's been dead for about 15 years. But you can't convince her of that. Because in her mind, she believes what she wants to believe. Same thing as that saying that I give so much credit to Demi Moore. She said, once somebody decides who you are, you can't be anything else. That's the power of our mind. And it's no more perfect here than in Scientology and the examples of the people that have left Scientology. Because they had every fiber of their being supporting the belief in Scientology until they realized their mind and what they believed was incorrect. And then something else said, this is true. It attached to the heart, and the mind followed suit. That behavior is unacceptable. It is wrong. When Leah Remini was reporting Tom Cruise for his behavior, or where was Shelley Miscavige when she should have been at David's side at the wedding, but yet his assistant was there, all of her morality said, wait a minute, this is wrong. Her mind said, this is Scientology, forget about that, it's not near as important, and everybody kind of put her in her place about it. Shut her up, made her feel like she was less than, but something inside of her said, no, that's the power of your mind. So, I think that, I'm not sure to call this a mind episode or a Scientology episode, or I don't know. I just know that the power of the mind is something that you really have to be careful when you reconstruct it if somebody is seeing things in a way that is not reality. Who is to determine what's reality for somebody else? That's a hard thing, to make somebody see that your reality is more important and more real than theirs. So, anyway, that being said, pretty interesting podcast. Still don't know what to call it. The mind of Scientology. Scientology deception of the mind. Scientology has nothing to do with the mind. If you have a mind, you don't follow Scientology. The dupe of the mind and Scientology. I don't know what to call this one. In the meantime, follow me, reply, subscribe, talk about me. All that's good stuff. Be better tomorrow than you were today, but not half as good as the next day. Until next time, this is Toddie 1Skip with issues with Toddie 1Skip with issues with a bad mind and Scientology. I don't know what I'm calling this.